Gold mining and iron foundries. Many men came to the Thames goldfield when it opened in 1867, having already panned for alluvial gold in other places like Otago, the Nelson area, the West Coast, or in Australia and California. They were gold diggers, working with a pick or shovel and a pan in rivers and shallow ground. Although gold digging was hard work, it didn't require a great deal of equipment. Alluvial gold was referred to as poor man's gold. The men who came to Thames were dismayed when they discovered that, after panning and sluicing in the creeks within the initial goldfields boundaries, there was no alluvial gold in this area. The gold here was embedded in veins in quartz rock and had to be mined. This was extremely slow, hard work. The men in the photo are using a two-man's gold miner's chisel. They could tunnel for many meters into their claim without finding a vein of gold and without knowing how far away the lucky strike might be. If they broke away some gold-bearing rock, they had to crush it to extract the precious metal. Perhaps, after tunneling week after week for several meters and finding nothing, they would abandon the claim, only to hear that the next men to work the tunnel struck it rich a short distance further in. Thames gold miners came here from many parts of Britain. There was a settlement called Irish Town and clusters of Cornish men who had tin mining experience. Claims were given names which reflected the miners' origins and hopes: Pride of Erin, Sleeping Beauty, Robbie Burns, Saxon, Homeward Bound, Perseverance. Gold found in quartz reefs was hard won, and with the equipment needed, it was rich man's gold. Gold mining offered an opportunity for engineering firms and iron and brass foundries to invest in the Thames and manufacture the machinery that made gold mining profitable. The most important were G Price Limited, 1868 to today, and Charles Judd Limited, 1869 to 1982. Foundries provided the stamper batteries to crush the rock, pumping and lifting gear, water races, and rail tracks. When gold mining waned, both firms diversified, G Price into the manufacture of locomotives, while Charles Judd built 4 iron lighthouses. G Price still occupies its original site at the intersection of Beach and Burke Street, where its impressive buildings dominate their surroundings. A short walk from the museum at the top of Cochrane Street stands the Bella Street Pumphouse. It houses the huge machinery which cleared water from the lower levels of the May Queen mine shafts. The building has an 8.55-metre stud and was overlooked by the 20-metre high Poppet Head. It took men into the mine and lifted the rock that had to be crushed. The photos in our gold mining display give an indication of how precarious and comfortless life must have been for the miners and their families. The noise from the 800-plus stampers surrounding the town was relentless, stopping only so it was quiet for church on Sundays. If you would like to hear a full-scale stamper battery, visit the Thames Gold Mine Experience, about 500 metres north from the museum on State Highway 25. And yet, in spite of the hazards and deprivations, the town thrived. As well as the Thames Miners' Union, which looked after the welfare of the men, the church communities cared for the miners' families, and there were strong Masonic lodges. And, in a town with over 100 hotels, temperance movements were also active. There was even a temperance hotel in Brown Street. Often the miners, after a week in the tunnels and living in cold, damp shanties in the hills, came to the pubs for a comforting, home-cooked meal, congenial company, and some lively entertainment.